There's a box of baking soda in most kitchens right now, sitting in the back of a cabinet, probably half forgotten. What most people don't know is that for several common household pests, it's one of the most effective low-toxicity control tools available, and the mechanism behind it is more specific than you'd expect. Before going pest by pest, it's worth understanding the underlying chemistry, because baking soda doesn't work the same way on every pest, and knowing why it works in each case tells you how to apply it correctly. Baking soda is sodium bicarbonate. When it contacts an acid or moisture, it produces carbon dioxide gas. In insects with rigid exoskeletons like cockroaches and ants, the CO2 generated in the digestive tract after ingestion cannot expand or escape. The exoskeleton is fixed. It doesn't flex the way a mammalian body wall does. The resulting internal pressure disrupts digestion and causes death, typically within 12 to 55 hours of sufficient ingestion. In rodents, the mechanism is similar but relies on a different limitation. They cannot burp or vomit effectively. When baking soda reacts with stomach acid and generates CO2, the gas accumulates internally at fatal levels. For soft-bodied pests like slugs and snails, baking soda acts as a contact desiccant. It adheres to their mucus coating and draws moisture out rapidly, causing dehydration on contact. For fleas in carpet, baking soda, combined with salt, draws moisture from flea bodies and eggs through the same desiccant mechanism. Two rules apply across all these applications. First, the baking soda must be fresh. Sodium bicarbonate degrades and loses reactivity over time. Test it before use. Drop a small amount into warm water or vinegar. Vigorous fizzing means it's active. Weak or no reaction means replace it. Second, for ingestion-based methods, concentration matters. Too much and insects or rodents avoid the bait or die before returning to the colony. Too little and the dose isn't lethal. The ratios in each method here are calibrated around this balance. The baking soda bait for cockroaches works on the same colony-level principle as boric acid, slow-acting ingestion that allows foragers to return to the harborage before the effects take hold. Mix equal parts dry baking soda and sugar. Sugar is the attractant. Cockroaches aren't drawn to baking soda alone. Use powdered sugar rather than granulated where possible, as the finer particle size makes it harder for roaches to eat around the active ingredient. Place the mixture in small shallow stations, bottle caps, or jar lids in active areas, under the sink, behind the refrigerator, at the back of cabinet bases, along baseboards behind appliances. Refresh every 2 to 3 days as the mixture absorbs moisture and loses effectiveness. Keep the bait completely dry. Do not mix it with water, vinegar, or any liquid. The CO2 reaction needs to happen inside the insect. If it's triggered in the mixture before ingestion, the gas dissipates and the bait becomes inert. This method has lab and anecdotal support for reducing populations when used consistently alongside sanitation. It isn't as reliable as boric acid or commercial gel baits for eliminating a heavy infestation, but it's a practical and genuinely useful option where chemical exposure is a concern. Homes with young children, food preparation areas where even low-toxicity insecticides are undesirable, or any situation where you want to start with the lowest-risk tool available before escalating. The ant application uses the same dry baking soda and sugar mixture, but the colony-level biology here makes it particularly well-suited to a bait approach. Ants share food through a process called trophallaxis. Foragers return to the nest and transfer food mouth to workers, larvae, and the queen. A slow-acting agent distributed through this system can reach individuals that never directly contacted the bait. That's the same principle that makes boric acid bait so effective, and it applies equally here. Use powdered sugar rather than granulated. The uniform particle size keeps the mixture consistent and prevents ants from separating the sugar from the baking soda. Place small amounts, a teaspoon per station, directly on or adjacent to active trails, near entry points and near whatever food source the ants have been accessing. For outdoor nests, place bait around the nest entrance from multiple points rather than one. Increased forager activity around the stations in the first day or two is a good sign. It means the bait is attractive and foragers are recruiting. Population decline takes days to weeks. Refresh every 2 to 3 days and leave stations undisturbed between checks. Rodents are neophobic, instinctively cautious about new food sources. A visible pile of white powder won't be accepted. The baking soda has to be disguised inside a familiar-seeming food carrier. The recipe: combine 2/3 cup each of baking soda, granulated sugar, and all-purpose flour. Add just enough warm water to bring it together into a thick paste, then roll into small balls roughly the size of a marble and let them firm up. The flour and sugar create a food matrix that reads as grain-based food, and the sugar masks the mild alkaline taste of the baking soda. Place bait balls along walls and boards, near entry points and next to any visible droppings or rub marks. Rodents travel flush against walls. Every placement should be against a wall or in a corner. Use tamper-resistant stations if children or pets are present. Be realistic about this method. The chemistry is sound. Rodents that ingest baking soda cannot release the resulting CO2 gas, and accumulation at sufficient doses is fatal. The practical challenge is consumption quantity. Rodents are cautious by nature, nibbling small amounts of any unfamiliar food before committing, especially when other food is readily available. Removing competing food sources before deploying the bait significantly improves how much rodents consume per visit. This method works best paired with snap traps along the same wall runways. The traps address the most cautious adults immediately, while the bait works over multiple feeding events on others. The flea method doesn't involve ingestion. It's a desiccant treatment applied to the carpet environment where flea eggs and larvae concentrate. Mix equal parts fresh baking soda and table salt. Work the mixture into carpet fibers using a stiff brush. Push it down into the base of the pile rather than leaving it on the surface, since eggs and larvae shelter deeper where they feed on organic debris. Leave it in place for 12 to 24 hours, then vacuum thoroughly. Dispose of the vacuum bag or canister contents outside immediately. Viable fleas and eggs in the bag can reinfest the home. Repeat every 5 to 7 days for at least 3 to 4 weeks. Flea eggs already present before the first treatment continue hatching over weeks, and consistent retreatment is what intercepts each new generation as it emerges. Stopping after one application is the most common reason this method produces only temporary results. This treatment addresses the environmental flea population in carpet and upholstered surfaces. It does not treat fleas on pets. Address both simultaneously. Wash pet bedding on the hottest tolerated setting and dry on high heat, and use a vet-recommend on-pet treatment alongside the carpet method. For slugs and snails, baking soda works as a direct contact kill, and this is the most reliable application across all the pest types covered here. Sprinkle dry baking soda directly onto any slug or snail you can see. It adheres to their mucous skin, draws moisture out rapidly, and kills within minutes. For barrier protection, lightly dust around the base of plants showing damage. The alkaline residue creates a surface slugs avoid crossing. Reapply after rain or irrigation. Moisture neutralizes the residue, and wet conditions are exactly when slug feeding peaks. Apply lightly. Heavy applications raise soil pH over time, which affects plant health and beneficial organisms. A thin visible line around each plant base is sufficient. Night inspections with a flashlight are the most efficient way to find and directly treat visible individuals. House centipedes emerging from drains are a specific contained problem. The application here isn't baking soda alone. It's the CO2 produced when baking soda and vinegar react in the confined space of a drain pipe. Pour 1 cup of baking soda slowly down the affected drain to coat the interior of the pipe. Follow immediately with 1 to 2 cups of white vinegar. Cover the drain opening to trap the CO2 below. Let it work for 30 to 60 minutes, then flush with hot water. The CO2 flooding suffocates or flushes centipedes sheltering in the pipe, and the reaction simultaneously degrades the organic buildup that creates the warm, moist conditions they seek in the first place. This addresses centipedes in drains specifically, not those already in wall voids or beneath floors. Centipedes are predators, and their presence in significant numbers signals an underlying insect population they're feeding on. Addressing that population through the cockroach and ant methods above removes the food supply that's drawing them in. Repeat the drain treatment weekly for prevention if centipedes are appearing regularly. Baking soda performs most reliably as a contact desiccant for slugs and snails. It works reasonably well as an ingest bait for ants and cockroaches when fresh, correctly ratioed, and supported by good sanitation. For rodents, the chemistry is plausible, but practical results are variable. Treated as a secondary tool alongside trapping, it does not work reliably for bedbugs. Baking soda paste applied to surfaces has no meaningful scientific support for bedbug control. The desiccant effect of a wet paste is minimal, and bedbugs readily avoid treated areas. For bedbugs, the evidence-supported approaches are heat treatment, vacuuming, steam, mattress encasements, and residual insecticide in harborage sites. For any desiccant-based application, food-grade diatomaceous earth is a stronger complementary option. Its physical abrasion mechanism can't be neutralized by moisture the way baking soda can, and it provides contact kill in harborage areas for individuals that avoid bait stations. Competing food sources are the single biggest variable that determines whether any of these methods succeed. Cockroach and ant baits work because foragers choose them over other options. Reduce those other options and consumption rates increase significantly. For rodents, removing familiar food sources is as important as the bait recipe itself because a well-fed rodent has almost no motivation to investigate something new. Store all food in sealed containers. Clean spills immediately. Keep pet food picked up between meals. Empty trash daily. Fix any drips or leaks under sinks. Seal entry points with silicone caulk or steel wool once the active population has been reduced. Monitor progress with sticky traps along walls and under appliances. A consistent weekly decline in catches confirms the treatment is working and tells you when to stop refreshing bait. To summarize, baking soda is a genuinely effective low-toxicity option for several specific pests when used correctly. CO2-producing ingestion reactions for cockroaches, ants, and rodents. Contact desiccation for slugs, snails, and fleas in carpet, and confined space CO2 treatment for drain-dwelling centipedes. Its limitations are real, and for bedbugs or heavy infestations it works best as one part of a broader approach rather than a standalone fix. Knowing which mechanism applies to which pest and following the correct ratio and format for each is what separates the applications that get results from the ones that don't. For most people, the product is already in the kitchen. Used at the right concentration, with the right attractant, and supported by basic sanitation, it's one of the most accessible pest control tools available. If you found this useful, subscribe for more practical, research-based pest control content. We'll see you in the next video.